Hello everybody, Sasha here again for Orchestral Tools. In this video we will take a look at the horns of the Berlin Brass main collection. This library actually has 4 different horns, each recorded separately in their own sessions, and a horn ensemble consisting of 4 players. So I think a good way to introduce those instruments to you is me playing a little bit with the legato patch of every one of them. By the way, by playing the notes with the right hand and riding the mod wheel with the left hand, I also have a pedal attached to the controller which switches between slurred and retoned legato, so that I can also perform those switches right away. That was the second horn, which has quite a different color than the first one. And now this is the third. I think in this example you can hear very well how nicely the adaptive legato reacts to your playing, so you can really get into fast runs and fast arpeggios with those patches. We also have dedicated runs patches, but those have short notes instead of sustains, so they work a little bit differently. I will show you them later. Okay, now let's also listen to the fourth horn. So those are our 4 individual horns. They are positioned from right to left. We also recorded them with the standard voicing in mind. So the first horn obviously plays the solos and is on top of the other horns, and the fourth horn plays the lowest line and such things. But I can only recommend to try all of the instruments in different roles and for different parts. Sometimes the second horn has a nicer tone for a certain passage. Sometimes you might like the first better, or the fourth, or the third. It's really up to you. All instruments were recorded with the full dynamic range and the full tonal range. So the fourth horn plays the same high notes and the first horn plays all of the low notes. So there's total freedom for you to mix them up the way you want. And then we also have the horn ensemble, which you can use for unison lines or also layering with any of the individual horns. Okay, let's stay a little bit with the horn ensemble this time. Let me play a bit of staccatissimo for you. So in a classical orchestral context, you would not use the horn ensemble to do things like this, playing multiple voices, up to 4 or 5 voices with an ensemble patch. But if you want to do modern hybrid or epic music and use the orchestra in a more exaggerated way, or maybe you just imagine a very large horn section, you can also do that with our ensemble patches. The sound is still very transparent, it doesn't lose its clarity, and even in the low register you get those very tight staccatissimos. Okay, I mentioned the Playable runs patch before. With this patch you get the same legato runs, transitions like in the adaptive legato patch, but we have short notes instead of sustains for the target and start notes. So let me play a little bit with this patch for you. Okay, let's get back to the individual horns for a moment. I would like to show you the repetition patches we have in the Berlin Brass main collection. There are 4 different repetitions patches for every instrument. We have the 16th repetition short, and then triplets, short and long. The long repetitions are looped, and the short repetitions go for the length of 2 quarter notes. So you can use those for upbeats or some shorter bursts of repetitions. All of those patches can be tempo synced to the host, or you can set a specific tempo in capsule, or also control that with a CC of your choice. If you lock it to the host tempo, you have this adjustment slider where you can set the relation of, in this case, the 16th notes to the main tempo. So if you want 16ths, you set it to 1. If you want 30 seconds, you set it to 2 times. You can also go to 8 if you have a very fast tempo. All of the repetitions are recorded in 2 dynamics and in 2 different speeds. Capsule will automatically choose the appropriate speed for the tempo and the tempo relation you have set. They also have release triggers, so you can basically stop the repetition anytime you want. So let me play you back a little bit of those short repetitions with all 4 horns. Okay, now we are back with the horn ensemble, especially with those release triggers I mentioned. These repetition articulations are quite useful combined with the other articulations of the library, especially the shorts. So in this case, I have prepared a little example playing repetitions together with staccatos and marcato notes to create this phrase. So our staccatissimos are really nice to play fast repetitions as well. But if you get up to a certain tempo, it might be better considering those repetition samples instead. Another category of patches we have for all the instruments of the Berlin Brass main collection are the dynamic samples. We have crescendos in 2 different lengths, fortepiano and swells in 2 different lengths. They are all recorded with the same tempi, with the same length. So you can, for example, build chords with all the different instruments and they will be nicely in sync. Also, the dynamics are actually recorded with 2 different dynamic layers. So for the crescendo, you have a crescendo which starts in pianissimo and goes up to mezzo forte, and then also one which goes all the way to fortissimo. Okay, let me just play you all of those patches again with our 4 individual horns so you can get a glimpse on how they perform. Okay, for the horn ensemble, we also have 4 special patches. We recorded sustains, staccatos, and long and short marcatos with the bells up technique. This is basically the players raising their instruments, and so the bells face upwards instead of downwards, which they usually do in their normal position. We recorded those with a narrow range and also just in very loud fortissimo. So those are basically used for the passages of the highest excitement in a piece. I've prepared a little phrase here which does utilize all of the 4 articulations we have. Okay, that's it for this overview of the horns. Let me wrap it up here with an example played by our 4 individual horns. This time I've chosen a little bit different microphone setup. We basically have the ORTF and the close mics, not panned this time, so the horns will fill up the whole stereo space. And I've added a little bit of the surrounds just for some ambience and reverb. This is basically a setup you could use for a chamber setting, or if you want to use the horns in an exposed fashion.